Good morning, everyone. We apologize for the delay. This is JP Dorval, Manager of Administrative Support Services at Prevention Action Alliance. Thank you for tuning in to our legislative webinar today, February 12th, 2019. First off, we're going to have Krysta Bennett, who's our Director of Training and Problem Gambling Program Coordinator, talk about her experience at CADCA and provide a few updates on that before going into the presentation.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is Krysta Bennett. I am the Problem Gambling Program Manager and the Director of Training. I'm going to give you guys some updates from CADCA Forum last week. First of all, I want to thank everybody who attended last week. If you were able to come to Forum, it was a really great turnout from Ohio, as it always is. We had our Ohio State meeting on Tuesday night, which was really fantastic. We had about 50 people in attendance. And I really appreciate all of you coming out and supporting, what we do for those meetings. We had our two appointments on Capitol Hill Day with Senator Brown and Portman, as well as you all probably had your own appointments, which I'd love to hear about if you have a chance. But while we were at Senator Brown's appointment, he did express a lot of interest in learning more about vaping and e-cigarettes. He is strongly opposed to flavored vaping, and is also really interested on local data on e-cigarette use if you guys have any. So if you have any information, local data that you've been collecting, you can go ahead and get in contact with his office. His team showed a lot of interest in that. Senator Portman joined us on the stairwell this year again to thank Ohio for our continued work. He really wanted to make sure that while we should continue to celebrate the work that we've seen and the improvements we've seen with opioids in most areas of Ohio, we can't take our eye off the ball. And he did express that what we are facing is an addiction issue and not a specific drug issue. So we really thank him for his support. And again, if you guys have any stories, information, pictures that you want to share from your time at CADCA, go ahead and send them along to us at contact@preventionactionalliance.org, and we can be sure to share them. We always love hearing all your stories from your different appointments. We also want to take the opportunity to congratulate 6 Ohio coalitions that graduated from the National Coalition Academy last week. And that would be the Coalition for Healthy Promotion from Youngstown, Ohio, Faith and Recovery Coalition from Washington Courthouse, Hardin County Coalition to Prevent Youth Substance Abuse in Kenton, Mercer County Prevention Coalition, the Cincinnati for Hope Coalition, and the United Prevention Partnership in Steubenville, Ohio. We also, it was a big week for Ohio. We want to congratulate Lisa Roberts of Scioto County for being the Advocate of the Year. Congratulations. And we also want to congratulate Drug Safe Worthington for winning the Dose of Prevention Award last week as well. So it was a really great week for Ohio. It was great to see so many Ohio people on the Hill, see so many of you at CADCA Forum year and year again. And those are your updates from Ohio, from the CADCA Forum. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Krysta. That was great and good representing Ohio. I guess we're killing it over there. So next, I can go into what's happening at the legislature and also talk a little bit about our legislative day, which is going to be on February 26th. So the 133rd General Assembly has been slow to start because of some leadership changes in both the House and the Senate. So we are expecting this week that the Senate should have their committee assignments sent out, and the House sent out their committee assignments, I believe, last week. All that being said, we do have our legislative day on February 26th. So far, we have about 83 to 85 attendees, and we are scheduling appointments for them, so that should be a great day to discuss prevention and everything that goes with that. As well as we are also working hard on the budget, trying to make sure that prevention has a place in the budget. Marcie was just added to the Recovery Ohio Council, which is great. So she's going to be able to have a say in what goes to the governor's budget, which is due mid-March. So keep an eye out for that. Also, March 5th will mark the state address that Governor DeWine will give. So keep an eye out for that as well. But so far, so good on our side.
Good morning, everyone. This is Marcie Seidel. It's a pleasure to be with you on this really rainy, horrible day in Columbus. I hope it's nicer where you are. We are very excited about being Prevention Action Alliance being able to join the Recovery Ohio Advisory Committee, and it's an important opportunity for us, and probably one of the first opportunities that any of us have had in a long time, to be able to give some direct input to what we believe prevention should look like in the state of Ohio to the governor directly before the budget on his side is created. So this has been an incredible opportunity. There's probably 40-some people that are on that committee. They will all be announced officially on Friday, and we'll keep you updated on who they are. But I encourage you to send me and others that are on that committee, when we send that out, that you would like to weigh in on different things. Let us know so that we can carry that to the committee, which ultimately then will go to the governor. So it's a great opportunity. We know that Governor DeWine is very much in favor of supporting and promoting prevention in the state of Ohio. So I have said many times, and believe it now more than ever, this is our time. And if not now, then when? And if not who, us, then who? So we have a great and a grand opportunity to move forward. We are looking and have created over the last couple of years, put together with many of our partners, and certainly have finessed it many, many times here in the office, what we're calling our three-prong approach to prevention in 2020, in the fiscal year of 20. We believe that prevention and the needs of prevention are extremely broad, but we needed to kind of put it into an easy way of taking a look at it and concentrate on what we feel are the three most important overarching goals for the prongs. The first one is the evidence-based prevention services, and we know that the governor is looking at K through 12. Already he has done that in his platform, and certainly has done that in the way he's structured his office, that's an important thing to have prevention in the school systems. We believe that as well. We promote that as well, but we want to take it one step further and look across the lifespan. We believe that prevention is for everyone, and everyone has a role in prevention, so we're trying to look at what we need to do to make sure that all levels of prevention are supported across the continuum. So we believe, A, that we need to invest in evidence-based prevention services for early childhood. Secondly, we want to make sure that young people that are at high risk, and we certainly have a lot of individuals, our youth in our state, that are at high risk, and that we do the type of prevention that is critical for them, and that we get identification of problems and referral to treatment be a part of that. And third, we want to make sure that just because you graduated from high school, that your prevention opportunities in education don't end, that there's an opportunity for it to continue in college, in community colleges, and technical schools, and senior centers, and churches, and in extension offices, and wherever there's a group of people, there's an opportunity to support our prevention ideas. The second prong to our approach is community-based collaboration. We truly believe that we need to approach this on the ground. People who live in communities know what their community is about. They know each geographical, economical, cultural, and racially diverse community have their own sets of circumstances that need to be addressed and played to, and nothing is better than a community coalition or people in a community coming together to identify what those needs are and to address them based on the SPIF process, to approach it and do it exactly as to what that community needs. And right now we're seeing lots of different groups around the state of Ohio that are doing things, but we would like to see a sustained effort in that area, and to make sure that evidence-based practices and strategies are used. We also want to, under this particular one, ensure and rely on, as I said, evidence-based or research-based prevention strategies and framework, and we need to evaluate what's going on so that we can start to determine what the best practices are to make sure that we, in fact, are getting the most out of what the efforts that we're putting into it. So that's one of the things. And then in investments in their programs, that we have people who are certified prevention specialists, that is a recognized field, that is a respected field, and that is a field that knows how to get things done, and we want to make sure that it's sustained across Ohio. So looking at how to sustain those and lift all those particular things up. The third approach is youth-led prevention. And this is a very positive youth development, youth empowerment approach. We think it's really important for young people to develop social and political awareness and to build skills in how to change and be community change agents. We also believe it's important that they are involved in community change, that they are preparing the way their community looks now, and when they transition into adults, they have a skill set that can be taken on into their adulthood. And that we look at young people not as a source of the problem, but as rather resources that will help solve that particular problem. And this is one of the most powerful prevention profiles that we have. And it's important for our leaders and the administration and legislative leaders to understand these principles and to support them and sustain them in the state of Ohio. So that's just a brief overview. That paper will be coming out, and we will very, very soon, and we will be sending it to everybody, and encourage you when you're talking to your legislators and talking to people that are decision makers, that perhaps you can go back and reaffirm these 3 points, that we start to speak with one voice. There's many prongs under each one of these 3 points, and so I think it's something that all of us can get behind and speak with one voice, and I think at that point we have a good chance of making great change in the state of Ohio. Okay. The other thing that happened last week was the Medical Marijuana Advisory Committee met last week, and there was a substantial update onto what was going on in the state of Ohio. We have now, of all of the different, from cultivators to dispensaries to testing labs and processors, not all of them are up and operating. It's still a process of getting them up, operating, being inspected, and giving the approval to move forward. So currently in the state of Ohio, there are 16 certificates of operation for cultivators, and those both level 1 and level 2 are represented in that, and they currently have produced product that is on its way to dispensaries. There are only 6 provisional licenses issued or operations of dispensary currently at this time, but they expect more to come online fairly quickly. Again, because we don't have the capacity, we don't have a lot of product yet in the dispensaries, but the system will continue to build upon itself, and we'll have more throughout the state of Ohio. Interestingly enough, a lot of the 6 provincial licenses, a lot of them are in Northeast Ohio. So the state itself is not well represented, but it should be shortly. The testing labs, there are 2 that are operational that are testing the product so that we can determine what's the CBD content and what the percentage of THC is in the product. So and the pesticides and all the other contaminants that might or may not hopefully be there, we can make sure that we have a good product that's going to patients. And then the operational processors. Right now it's mostly just plain bud or plant product that's going to the dispensaries, but as the licenses for the provisional licenses for the operational processes are up, there's 36 of them now that have been issued. So as they start their manufacturing process to get the different types of products out on the market, that'll take a little bit of a while, but it is up and it's moving. I encourage you always to go to medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov, to the website, to look for updates on what's going on. It changes daily, but it's at this point, this is what we're looking at. Next slide we're taking a look at is the Patient Registry, and this one I found to be the most interesting of all of them. And I think the thing that's really interesting is for us to collect the data that comes off of this kind of information. Right now, the total number of patients who have received the ability to get recommendation is just over 17,000 individuals. but the number of cards that have been actively activated for patients is just under 13,000. So we've got about 4,000 individuals in there who have the ability but have not activated their ability to have a card. Of those, about 1,300 are patients that have veteran status, and 405 of them are indigent status, which means those who get basically a what's the word I'm looking for? They get it for free, or they get it as a special condition. So individuals who don't have funds to be able to do it there's 405 of those who've applied for that and have received that. Those that have a terminal diagnosis, which I think is really interesting for us to look at and track, because over the years that I've watched medical marijuana, it's always been for that group of people that they've sold this system. It's for people who are at the end and have no other recourse. And of the 17,000, more than 17,000 individuals, only 83 of them are people who are considered terminal or at end of life. And then we have caregivers. We have 472 caregivers that have been received their ability to get their registry cards to serve patients. The other information that came up very interesting on the registry is that there are many of the 21 conditions. There are 4 that stand out, but certainly the one that's by and far the most popular, which we all really knew and would predict, is that have chronic, severe, or intractable pain. And so with that pain, it's hard to track and it's hard to know what exactly their needs are, but it's a condition that's on the registry, and therefore that's the majority of the individuals who have their card. The second one, which I really found interesting, was the post-traumatic stress disorder. That was the second highest one. Certainly not anywhere close to the pain one, but still higher, much higher than the rest. And there has been so much conflicting information and research that's come out about whether this can help or whether it can actually exacerbate the condition, that we find it just really interesting. One of the things is to collect data on this as we move forward, and so we can make some good recommendations and judge what's happening with that. The third one, which was quite high, was fibromyalgia. And again, that's sort of an interesting one that has lots of different conditions in it, a lot of different symptoms, but that is the third one. And then the fourth one, which really wasn't all that high in comparison to the top 3, was cancer. So we'll continue to monitor these, and as we get information, you can go on the website as well that I just talked about, medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov, and you can see more detail about what the conditions are and how they're playing out. But as more registrants come up on the system, we'll be able to track how this is actually going. In addition to the 21 conditions that are up there, last November and December, the control program took in applications for different conditions or new conditions that could be added to that list. There were 110 petitions that were received. Many of them were duplicates. Some of them were basically things that were already on the registry or on the condition list, and just came in under a different name. But the ones that they ruled out that really thought were duplicates or that showed no evidence or the applications didn't make a good case for why they should be, it came down to the ones that are on this slide. And the autism spectrum disorder was one, opiate use disorders, chronic anxiety disorders, depression, and insomnia. And I think it's really interesting for those of us, and I know many of you that have dug into the conditions and to the properties of what marijuana does for an individual. Some of these things seem not very intuitive. They seem like they rock against what we know is marijuana can cause depression, anxiety disorders. We're not have any kind of good information about whether they're opiate use disorders, and certainly no one knows enough about the autism spectrum disorder. But the good news is that the committee unlike how this was done in the legislature, is going to the experts and ask them. So a committee and a review of experts are coming in and taking a look at the science, the research on these particular conditions to offer their opinion as to whether they should or should not be included on the registry. And I think that's a good step for our system, is to have the experts do it. As we say in our position paper here, Prevention Action Alliance, we're not experts in that. We don't have the research, we don't have the knowledge, and it needs to stay in the scientific field of those who do. So I've had several people ask me what they can do because they understand this, and I would encourage you to write your opinions on these and submit them to, I believe it's the medical board that oversees this. So write those, or you can send them to us, and we can forward them on to the people that are taking a look at this, so that your voice can be heard about this. Well, as I said, we may not be the experts. I think a lot of us have lived experiences that we can share our lived experiences with that and be helpful in the process of deciding what should or should not be on this particular system. Physicians, right now there are 374 throughout the state of Ohio that are certified to recommend. You will find that, as we talked before, behind the OD or the MD, you'll find CTR, which is certified to recommend. There are, they must see the patients based on the 21 conditions. They must see the patients every year to determine how the marijuana is responding to, or they're responding to the marijuana and their conditions and their symptoms. And they must then report those so that we can start to gather the data and the information we need to making sure that this drug that is being used for therapeutic reasons is not doing any harm, and in fact has some potential to do good work, and therefore report that to those that will be actually can promote this into an FDA process. That's all that we've got today, but we do have a few minutes and encourage questions, so I'll turn it over to JP for that.
Thank you, Marcie, for the updates. And we do have two questions, one for you, Marcie, and one for Krysta. Since we just finished our discussion about the Ohio Medical Marijuana Control Program, Marcie, I'll start with your question, or the question that's directed towards you. One of our viewers wants to know, for the 405 indigent patients, or the patients who receive medical marijuana with the indigent status, our viewer wants to know who is footing that bill. Does that mean that it's being paid for by taxpayers, or taxes collected on sales? Do you know who's footing that bill?
Not 100% sure, but I'm going to say it's basically us as taxpayers, although we're not being taxed on this system. It probably will come out of the revenues that are being generated from the medical marijuana program itself, but it's still too new to know if the program and the income from that will be enough to pay for these kind of additional things. So it's kind of a wait and see. I'm guessing right now they're going to try to take it out of the fees and the different fees and structure piece of that comes from the marijuana program itself. So, but this is something I'll look into, and I'll ask the question. So the next time we chat, I'll have a little bit better answer for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcie. And Krysta, this next question is for you. So looking at the local vaping data, is there a point person in Senator Brown's office that coalition members or individuals can send that data to Senator Brown's? Is there a point person in his office to send that data to, or is there just a general maybe email inbox that that data can be sent to?
Sure. So we did work with his aide. I don't have their contact information right in front of me, but what I would encourage you to do is reach out to us at contact@Prevention Action Alliance, and we can actually send information on behalf of your coalition, organization, agency, or if you have any further questions, I can pull that contact information. I have one of his aide's cards, and I can get that information to you also after the webinar.
Awesome. That sounds great. And Marcie, we have another additional question. Who is on the panel of experts reviewing the proposed additional conditions? If you know off the top of your head?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. I know that they're not all Ohio-based. They're looking throughout the country for those that they believe are the most knowledgeable on this. So specifically who on these conditions, I don't know, but they're looking not as the conditions as a whole, but each condition separately for an expert. So in other words, those that are looking at, the different, give me one, the autism. There'll be people that are very steeped in research and treat autism itself. So each one of those particular areas will receive experts from those areas. So they won't just be kind of random individuals. But I don't know specifically who is who. I know that they're putting together that list now.
Alrighty, sounds good. And we'll give another couple minutes for any additional questions to trickle in. Alrighty, doesn't seem like we have any additional questions, so we are going to wrap up this legislative or advocacy webinar. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.